Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're well. If you were watching the market today like I was, you saw a heavy afternoon reversal from Micron, and it wiped out the morning gains that we saw for the stock. It left a lot of retail traders wondering if the tech momentum is finally stalling out. But if you look at the tape closely, like we will in a moment, you'll see that the afternoon drop, it wasn't random. It was a highly calculated pivot where large institutions started locking in profits near the highs, right in the middle of a major domestic manufacturing announcement from Micron coming out of their Virginia facility. And at the same time, Astera Labs capped off an incredible high volume breakout week because hyperscalers are aggressively buying up their next generation connectivity switches to link these exact memory chips to the AI clusters. Tonight, we're going to skip all the hype. We're going to push away the noise, and we're going to look straight at the charts, at the tape, and the block trades that happened right at the close today to see exactly how these stories connect, where the institutional capital is rotating next in the market, and what it means for all of our portfolios next week at the opening bell on Tuesday with the holiday on Monday. So let's dive into the data. Let's look at the charts. Let's piece it all together. But if you haven't done it already, make sure you hit like. Make sure you hit subscribe to the channel. Our channel is growing at a massive rate. I love to see the connectivity and engagement we have on it. So if you've learned something on one of these videos or you value this content and you haven't subscribed yet, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, become part of the channel. Make sure you get the videos moving forward. Guys, I appreciate all your engagement. Let's dive in and take a look exactly how Micron traded today. So I want to pull up their 5-minute candle chart, because I think you'll see the reversal that we were talking about, what I mentioned in the beginning of the video. If you look at this 5-minute chart, it is a textbook example of institutional distribution that crushed an early morning momentum. The stock was trading exactly like I thought it would. If you remember my video last night, I mentioned that we would see a bit of a gap down like we saw out of Micron this morning, where it closed on Thursday. We'd see a gap down and it would drive up support. And it's what we saw. The stock drove all the way up, kind of doing a little bit of kind of staircase pattern up to a high of just over 780 here in this 5-minute candle window. And after that, we saw, unfortunately, kind of a parabolic move in the opposite direction, a massive kind of profit taking, algorithmic selling. I'm going to show you something on the block trade for that time frame, exactly what marks the window that we saw. What flushed out this stock in the afternoon, the last final hour or two of trading overall. But it drove the stock all the way down. You can see this just heavy volume across the board, heavy pressure on the stock, pushing it down. The last few volumes here, you can see that volume over, look to the right here, almost 93,000 shares that it finished on. It pushed the stock down. This pressure made the stock close at about down 1.5% today. You can see here, almost down 1.5%, $11, closed at $7.51. In the after hours right now, we're seeing it down by just over another $5. So $7.45.56 currently trading right now. But this was just everything was flowing according to plan, looking like we were going to have some strong momentum heading into the holiday weekend. But then things changed. We saw this bit of flush. We saw this pressure and profit taking that happened with the stock. But what jumps out to me is the RSI below. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you could see that the RSI is signaling an oversold territory. The 14-day RSI right now is 25.43. And when an RSI gets flushed this hard on a 5-minute chart, it tells us that the short-term momentum, those scalpers that we saw in the market, they have completely been shaken out. The regular session, it closed, and it was an ugly close. There's no question what you see on your screen. But structurally, this stock remains fundamentally strong. And in my opinion, I think the weak hands were flushed out this afternoon. They have been cleared out of the way for this stock can rally and start to move again. RSI is showing it oversold. This stock will not stay in an oversold territory. This will trigger algorithmic buying when we open up the market on Tuesday where it sits right now. But if you want ultimate proof that the 750 level, the 751 where we closed today, that this is the line in the sand for institutional investors, that they're backstopping that 750 level, then we have to jump over and take a look at the block trades and the ones we saw today, right before the close, and what we saw after the close as well. So let me pull up. You can see we're looking at the Market Chameleon website. We look at this website all the time to look at stock block trades as well as option trades. But today we're looking at stock block trades, and I have it filtered for Micron for today, obviously, any trade over $10 million in value. A few things I want to call out. One is if you look here right at this first massive trade that we saw right about 3 o'clock Eastern. So remember when that afternoon cascade of selling happened? It was probably in that last 90 minutes of trading overall. It lines up really nicely here with this block trade. This definitely kind of pushed the flush down further. We had $254 million, almost 330,000 shares that got printed at 771. This was a massive sign to me, or just a signal of profit taking that happened that pushed the stock down overall. And then if you look at the real story of the day, if you want to see, it was the closing cross at a 1.2 billion, almost 1.6 million shares, excuse me, $1.2 billion, 1.6 million shares right at the 751 level. And then look above it, just look within the next 30 seconds overall, the massive amount of trades that we saw, 162 million, over 200,000 shares, almost 300 million here, another 263 million, 128 million here, all printing at that 751 level for the stock. So this just shows us that we're seeing here is a classic institutional wash, I'll call it. Smart money let the momentum scalpers bleed out the stock all afternoon, or at least in those last 2 hours of trading. They let it bleed out dry. And then they stepped in with these massive blocks at the closing cross and right after, the 30 seconds after the closing cross, to suck up all the vacuum, all the supply that's in the market right now, and hammer in a multi-billion-dollar floor right before the weekend. So to me, guys, that just shows a massive support, a line in the sand, we'll call it, for Micron right at 751, with a massive amount of support there that we saw in the closing cross in the 30 seconds after. But you want to know why the stock was being defended at this 750 level? I have to take you to a major fundamental announcement that dropped this morning, and it means so much for Micron overall. And here is the announcement. You can see Micron begins advanced memory chip production in Virginia. That's a big part of the story, because if you scroll down, Micron started manufacturing their 1-alpha DRAM memory chips at its Manassas, Virginia facility, marking the most advanced memory technology production ever in the United States. The company announced the milestone during an event that it was attended by U.S. Secretary of Commerce. You can see here Howard Lutnick, as well as other government officials. And this 1-alpha node, it will quadruple Micron's DDR4 wafer supply at the Manassas facility, and it is supporting automotive, defense, aerospace, industrial, networking, and medical device sectors. Micron experts qualified the 1-alpha DRAM production from the facility. They're qualifying it to have at the facility by the end of 2026. And the article goes on to say that this Virginia expansion represents part of Micron's $200 billion U.S. investment plan, which includes projects in Idaho and New York, expected to create over 90,000 jobs. The Manassas facility received more than $2 billion in investment and supports over 3,100 manufacturing community jobs. Their CEO went on to say that today's achievement is an important step in their $200 billion investment plan to expand memory manufacturing and R&D here in the U.S. So this was a huge announcement for the company. When you have not only the U.S. Commerce Secretary there, you had the U.S. Trade Representative and multiple members of Congress on site for this announcement. It's a big time play for the company. As I said, it's part of them onshoring advanced memory production here in the U.S. This is a critical pillar of Micron's massive $200 billion domestic U.S. investment plan. With qualified production, as the article said, scaling by the end of 2026, Micron is cementing its monopoly as the only domestic manufacturer of advanced memory chips in the USA. When you have an enterprise when you have a type of enterprise like Micron that's expanding its moat under direct supervision of the Commerce Secretary, like we saw today, the afternoon pullback on that 5-minute chart that I first showed you, guys, that's just noise. The long-term structure and the fundamentals for Micron, it is fully intact and it is strong as ever. But a memory chip is completely useless if it can't talk to the rest of the server rack. And that brings us directly to Astera Labs, which capped off an absolutely incredible week today where it saw growth. We saw the stock grow by almost 32%. So let me pull that up. We can dive into it and look exactly what Astera did this week. You can see on the tape, we had almost a $9 gain, 3%. In the after hours, pulled back slightly, $1.50. But let's scroll down and just to see what movement the stock has had over the last week. Like I said, almost a 32% gain here. In the last month, 55% gain. In the last 3 months, almost 140% gain for the stock. The analyst sentiment here is buy. No question about it. And the company's health is great from all indicators right here. Technical analysis is a strong buy. And that chart moved really, it just looks beautiful, kind of a parabolic move overall for the stock. Closed at 306.71. This is a stock that I have in my AI stack. I'm planning to do a video this week and to give you a month 2 update on how well that AI stack investment, that $10,000 investment I made, how well it's performing. So make sure you turn on the notification so you can pick up that video. But let's jump over and talk about why this stock is moving at the rate that it has and why is smart money and Wall Street obsessed with Astera Labs right now. It has everything to do with their new product that they launched or announced earlier this month. You can see here, Astera Labs extends its leadership in open AI scale-up networking with new 320-lane Scorpio X series smart fabric switches. So this was a big announcement for Astera Labs. And you think about the sheer scale of that product they announced. 320 lanes of PCI Gen 6 connectivity. These Scorpio switches, they deliver breakthrough accelerator utilization through memory semantic open protocols. They are literally the glue holding the modern AI data center together. And their record Q1 revenue growth of almost, I think, just over 93% year over year proves the hyperscalers are buying everything that this company can manufacture. But the real kicker for us as investors is that Astera Labs, they don't operate in a vacuum. When a disruptive product like the Scorpio X series, when it ramps into high volume, it creates a massive rising tide for the rest of the semiconductor food chain. We first have to look at the advanced packaging providers, the companies that they will partner with, like Taiwan Semiconductor, as well as ASE Technology. Ticker is ASX, which I've recommended them before. They're the company that catches the spillover from TSMC. Guys, these TSMC, as well as ASE, is the critical foundry and advanced packaging partner, physically printing and packaging these ultra-complex, high lane count connectivity chips. But more importantly, this massive validation of open memory semantic PCIe Generation 6 protocols, they act as a direct validation for specialized connectivity peers like Marvell Technology and Credo Technology. Credo is CDRO is their ticker. Marvell, I think you know, is MRVL. As hyperscalers aggressively adopt these open fabric architectures, it shifts capital allocation directly towards custom silicon networks, creating a multi-billion-dollar secular tailwind for the entire specialized connectivity sector. This isn't just a win for Astera. It is a structural warning shot to Broadcom as well. They are proving that the market for intelligent next-generation AI plumbing is widening out rapidly. My only concern with Astera Labs, they put it up, that I've seen in the short term is just the massive amount of profit taking that we've seen with the company. If I pull this up, if you look here in May, we've had almost $234 million in insider trading volume. What will impact that? What impact will that have on the stock? We'll have to see. But if I look back historically, you can see in August is the second highest amount where they've had $163 million in insider trades, 14 trades at the time. It didn't really have an impact right away on the stock price if you follow it. We saw kind of a dip later here. I wouldn't relate that to the insider trader volume. And also, if we just look at how the stock is moving up, April, we saw over $100 million in insider trades. In May, we've had 11 trades, significantly more. If you look down below here, you can see it's from chief officers in the company as well. So how will the market interpret that type of insider selling. It doesn't seem to have impacted it in the past, but it's something we'll have to keep our eye on for the stock overall. That's the only thing that could potentially cause me a bit of hesitation or concern for the stock. So if you connect the dots of my thesis today, the broader macro layout becomes crystal clear. The structural trend isn't about chasing hot chips. It's about positioning yourself where the data is actually moving to. Micron's 1-alpha DRAM expansion out of Virginia proves that the physical memory supply chain is locking down a massive domestic footprint. Astera Labs, the explosive week that they saw today, it proves that the hardware bottleneck has shifted entirely to smart fabric connectivity, creating a massive secondary tailwind for custom silicon peers like Marvell and Credo. But please don't let a late day profit-taking trend this afternoon that we saw with Micron cloud your judgment for the stock overall. The oversold technicals on Micron's 5-minute chart show that the momentum sellers are exhausted. We saw where the RSI is down in that 25 range, oversold, setting itself up for some algorithmic buying when the market opens up on Tuesday. The fundamental tailwinds have never been stronger for this stock. Watch the 750 floor on Micron when the market opens up on Tuesday morning. And let's see if the institutional players step in, and this is the line in the stand of support where the stock is right now. We saw that massive, probably over $2 billion in stock trades at the 751 level. So will we see these institutional players make this the line in the sand, the fundamental floor for the stock, and we push it further higher, getting closer to that 800 level again? Guys, I hope you liked the video tonight. I hope you enjoyed the takes and my breakdown of Micron and Astera Labs. If you have, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Drop me a comment below. Let me know your feelings, but I hope you have a great night, and I'll see you in the next one.